Welcome back to another episode interview series with Rabbit Koinol YouTube channel and Carter Feldman with me, founder and CEO of QED protocol. How is it going so far, man? How are you doing?
It's going well. It's going very well. Actually, I was just recently in Istanbul for the DevCon, and yeah, really happy to be here.
Yeah, you guys had a really good booth, and I saw the booth. I visited your booth, so I'm really excited to have you because we're gonna talk about QAD protocol and what you guys actually building here and what is your purpose. We're gonna also talk about your vision and plans. What will you do in the near future? I'm really excited to have you. So before the start, especially, could you tell us yourself, especially who's don't know your background? So.
Sure. So I'm Carter. Like, I guess I previously come from a more traditional non-blockchain security background. As a teenager, I was a relatively high-profile, like, black hat hacker. I later also built ModP, which is the only modding platform for the mobile edition of Minecraft. Built a developer community of around 150,000 users around ModP. And then, yeah, about a year and a half ago, I started QED, and yeah, the rest, I guess, is history. But I've been in the blockchain scene for a little bit. Like, I used to have an EOS top 21 block producer back when, like, EOS was super hot. We were actually #1 in the world for a while, but yeah, EOS has kind of slowly died, unfortunately. So yeah, QED is where it's at.
Cool. When did you do your first transaction with crypto? When did you do?
It's got to be like 2013 or so.
Wow,
So on Bitcoin,
2013.
yeah.
Early
But
adapter.
unfortunately, like I didn't have a ton of crypto held.
All right.
It was more of a like accepting payment kind of a situation.
Well, with Bitcoin or?
Yeah.
Cool. Really cool. All right. Why you and your team have started with QAD? What was your vision and why you guys building here? So.
Sure. So I guess the main thing that really motivated us to build QED is that we saw that now fast recursive zero knowledge proofs, meaning zero knowledge proofs where I can prove some computation, which includes like verifying other proofs, was now possible on consumer hardware. But I guess more high level, like the main reason why we want to build it at all is that right now, like all existing blockchains and trustless scaling technology or trustless compute technology isn't able to scale up to a point where everyone around the world can benefit from trustless compute on a daily basis. So like I spend most of my life on the internet on my computer, and I think like the rest of humanity is kind of moving to this point where eventually people will spend more time on their digital lives than on the physical. And right now we're kind of at a crossroads where if we don't scale up Web3, the future of humanity is probably going to look something like a dystopia controlled by the several large platform dictatorships. And the only way to avoid that future where our masters are Amazon and X and Facebook and the other platforms is for us to actually scale up Web3 in a meaningful way, so that there's at least an alternative route for like the future of humanity. But that is, I guess, the more grandiose reason.
Very good vision. But could you make it clear what is QAD protocol and you guys what kind of problem solving? What is the project about?
Sure. So we're horizontally scalable layer 2 on Ethereum. So specifically what that means, I guess, is that millions of users around the world prove a bunch of transactions locally. We then use a tree recursion, like zero knowledge proving system, which takes all of those proofs, and then you can think of bundling them up or recursively verifying to be like technically accurate. And then we generate for each, let's say, 10 or 15 seconds, we generate a single proof of all of those transactions and send it over to Ethereum. So you can compute stuff with lots of applications on your computer, roll it up, put it on Ethereum, you inherit the security of Ethereum because the end proof is still being verified in an Ethereum smart contract. But because of the way that our state model works and how we do our recursive proof aggregation, we're able to scale in the same ways that websites like Facebook and Twitter have been able to scale up their platforms using horizontal scaling techniques.
There is a lot of layer 2 project here. And yeah, what makes you different to other layer 2 projects in your opinion?
So a couple things. I guess first off, from like a very high level, we're the only layer 2 thus far that's been like designed around zero knowledge proofs rather than taking existing blockchain architectures and just making a verifiable or a ZK version of Ethereum, a ZK version of X, right? So like what that has allowed us to do is really take advantage of, I guess, maybe to back up a little bit, like the sort of scaling and security trade-off that previously existed with blockchain. Just because in the past, right, if I want to scale up my blockchain, how do I do it? Well, I distribute the work to verify or validate transactions amongst a bunch of nodes. And by doing that, as long as I can compute them in parallel, we can scale up the blockchain. However, the number of nodes that verify each individual transaction goes down, right? So if I start with every node has to verify all 1,000 transactions, then each transaction is, or let's say we have 1,000 nodes, right? Every transaction is verified by or validated by 1,000 different nodes. If we split up the work, now each transaction is only validated by 250 nodes and so on and so forth. But with recursive zero knowledge proofs, we don't have to have this trade-off anymore because we only need one node to verify or validate, or in this case, prove each transaction. And then rather than having to have all the other nodes like verify or validate that transaction's execution proof, we just verify the proof. And in our case, we use a recursive zero knowledge proof to take 4 proofs and turn them into one, so that at the end of each block, you actually have a single succinct proof that you can use to verify the entire transaction history on QED in around 4 or 5 milliseconds. So this isn't possible with something like if you just plop an Ethereum architecture into ZK, just because they're like the way that the state is described, and I guess we call it the state topology of the blockchain, like doesn't allow us to do this kind of parallel computation or things like client-side proving that makes some of this stuff more practical. But I guess again, from a high level, like we're scalable in a very different way than other blockchains. So we've taken full advantage of ZK, I guess, at the risk of having to make something from scratch. I guess another thing just like that's quite important is we're ZK VM agnostic. So like QED wants to be a protocol. We don't want to say, okay, you need to write your smart contracts in this language. So we have like recursive verifiers for a variety of different languages. Currently, we actually support vanilla JavaScript and Python. We have EVM support on the way, Rust support. Right now, we're writing a recursive verifier for RISC-0 proofs as well. But in a year or two down the road, there's going to be brand new ZK VMs, right?
Wow.
And they're probably going to be twice as fast as the ZK VMs we have today. And I want to make sure that QED can absorb those and onboard those new ZK VMs as they come out. And in 10 years, there's going to be even better stuff. So we're really the only protocol that's taken that approach. I guess time will tell, but we're quite different.
Wow, great. Really, really cool. I just personally also curious, you guys, especially you have really good experience because you're really early adapter. You did your first transaction 2023. So I'm pretty sure you have really a lot of information than me. So how do you describe the future of layer 2s? Layer 1s, yeah, we know layer 1s, different blockchains, but how do you describe the future of layer 2s? What do you think about that field?
Sure. So I guess there's kind of like 3 different paths that we could go down. So one of them is that we have lots of layer 2s on Ethereum, right? And then we have a lot of issues where like if you have assets on it, this, let's say on Scroll, and you want to interact with a contract that's deployed on Polygon ZK EVM, which then interacts with another user that's on another ZK EVM, you have this issue where you always have to do an additional transaction on the main chain.
Yeah.
Like if I want to purchase an NFT from you that's listed on Polygon ZK VM, and your NFT is like, you know, something that was minted on, let's say, Scroll, right? We need to do a transaction on Ethereum just to make this happen in order to get the data across, which sort of defeats the whole purpose of L2s providing scalability, because like you still require a transaction on the main chain to make it happen. So I don't think that that's going to be the future. Now, there is one case where Ethereum sort of dominates, probably something like 2 to 3 very large roll-up ecosystems that will come to dominate. Right now, I don't know how feasible this is going to be either, just because of the TPS numbers that we're seeing from the roll-ups. So like if you have very few roll-ups, they need to have very high TPS so that they can support lots of users, right? But maybe Starknet, it seems like they're doing a reasonable job scaling up a bit,
Starknet
at
is
least.
the first layer 2, right? As I know, or
So like it depends what you call layer 2, right? So I guess if we're saying that a layer 2 is different from a ZK rollup, or a layer 2 is a ZK rollup, but it's not just a ZK rollup, because you can also do smart contracts on it, right? Because the first like ZK project was Loopring, or the first like major one, right? That honor may go to something like ZK Sync, but yeah, I mean Starknet obviously was very early, also just inventing Stark as well, and they're an amazing team. But yeah, I think what's a little bit also interesting with this is right now what we see with Ethereum, with Lido and Blast and these other like optimistic rollups that are, you know, not only compromise the consensus of Ethereum by having very poor security, in the sense that they're just a multi-sig, and hundreds of millions of dollars, if they were stolen, that may require Ethereum to do a revert or to roll back or something. But also just because of the way that staking is going, we don't really know what's going to happen with Ethereum consensus. I'm curious, like, what do you are you worried about this? Because it's pretty easy to, like, if you can control consensus for a couple of transactions, you can mess up a roll, right? Because it's just one transaction away. But yeah, I don't know what your views on it are, but we are planning on submitting our proofs to a variety of different L1s.
right.
We're actually working on a Bitcoin verifier for zero knowledge proofs. It's quite intensive because we don't have multiplication in Bitcoin script. So we have to do it with like big integer represented as like a bunch of, you know, binary digits, and then we do like the big integer multiplication and such, transaction by transaction. But you know, there is a future where L2s are, I guess, more concentrated on Bitcoin too. We don't know, but I'm curious, like, do you think like consensus is an issue here, or I don't know if this is the interview style that we should be doing, but
I don't. Yeah. Who knows? So another question is from our community about QED protocol. So can you guys elaborate on scalability advantages that QED offers for investors and users supporting millions of concurrent transaction parallel?
Sure. So I guess the first thing is that with QED, you can prove your own transactions locally, which means that you pay like the same gas fee no matter how much computation you've done. And specifically, the way that this works is because like as with fast recursive proofs where you verify a proof in a proof,
Right.
like the actual amount of time that is required to verify a proof compared to the computation itself is something like log of n, or log of n squared, right? So this means that if we ever have some very large proof of a big transaction, right, I can just generate a proof which verifies that proof, and that proof is going to be like logarithmically smaller than the first proof. So we can basically compress the proofs as much as we like. And because the actual, you know, computation is executed and proved locally by the users, the only work that the network does is recursively verifying your proof into a larger block proof and storing your state deltas. Which means that since we can like ensure that the proof size that you actually send out to the network is constant no matter how many transactions you've done, the amount of work that the network has to do doesn't depend on how many transactions you execute, or how like, complex the logic of those transactions were. So for users, you can do a ton of transfers, ton of transactions, and pay a fixed fee, which is quite exciting. It also
Whoa.
enables.
Whatever, how much transaction I did do, doesn't matter. The same fee, right?
So you pay for state delta. So if I modify a bunch of different state variables,
All
you
right.
still pay per state. But you can imagine situations like, let's say I'm just transferring out money and I'm mutating my own balance a bunch of times. You only pay a fixed cost.
Wow.
So I can do payroll on blockchain now in a like feasible way, right? You can also do very long and complex computations that really like, you know, you couldn't do on blockchain before because the gas was too expensive. But yeah, so lots of cool stuff.
Yeah, Ethereum gas fees is quite expensive. What do you think about that?
The
Expensive.
way that Ethereum works, right, is that whenever I send off a transaction, every single full node on the Ethereum network has to compute and run my transaction. So every time I do a transaction on Ethereum, tens of thousands, if not more, I'm not sure how many Ethereum full nodes there are, but I assume tens of thousands, have to run this computation, right? So you're not just paying for the computation fee to run it once. You're paying it to be ran on tens of thousands of different computers. And also because there's only so much like throughput that these computers can compute at a time, like other people that are more, I guess, are more urgently wanting to do their transactions can bid you out or pay for a higher gas fee so that their transactions get priority over yours. So there's also like that competition of the scarce block space, which with QED, we don't have scarce block space since you prove your own transactions locally. So yeah, like, and for normal people, this is good, right? Like, I think people are okay paying for fees on financial transactions so long as it's not like it changes over time, right? People will think, oh, yesterday I did the transaction and it cost me, 10 cents and now it costs me $2. You're like trying to
Yeah.
scam me or something, right?
Yeah.
So I think this is very important, right? We have to be consistent.
Yeah, sometimes I really change my idea for make a transaction on Ethereum chain. That is why, because of that. So, all right, it's really clear answer. Long story short, could you tell us more, especially future plan of QAD protocol and yeah, more insights, information about the future of QAD? What you gonna do, or what would you like to do in near future? Do you have any specific plan for something?
Sure. So we're looking to launch our testnet in the next like 2 to 3 months. We have a few like large gaming companies, like Web2 gaming companies that are going to be onboarding with us, just because for them, like they're very sensitive about transaction fees, and we also have something that we call like local finality, where they can get away with not sending off the proof to chain and still be sure that some action has been done. And this just makes it so that you can build fast-paced games on chain for the first time. So I think that was like, I guess we've had a lot of demand and a great relationship with our Web2 partners. I guess on the more like crypto side, we're working with a bunch of small to medium-sized exchanges to build order book dexes on chain. I think right now, especially with what we've seen as far as regulation goes with the centralized exchanges, there is a wave of DEX migration, or at least the backends of these centralized exchanges migrating to DEXs, just so that they're not legally culpable for what goes on. And you can't really build a good order book exchange on Ethereum. So just because of gas fees, yeah, pretty much just gas fees. But yeah, because of that, that's why we have these like AMMs that get exploited, like Kyber and so on, with very complex logic instead of just like matching buy and sell orders. But yeah, that's possible on QD. Very excited to launch with a few exchanges on testnet. I would say like we're pretty excited about verifying the first zero knowledge proof on Bitcoin. We
All
still have a
right.
ways to go, but this will be pretty interesting just because like right now Ethereum consensus is kind of compromised or is close to kind of being compromised. I mean, we love Ethereum, but it's pretty scary. Bitcoin's proof of work consensus is pretty solid. So that might be something like an upset to the rest of the ecosystem. And we're looking forward to see how that pans out. Although, as I mentioned, we love Ethereum. We're planning on submitting our proofs to, both chains, but this could be something very interesting, especially with Bitcoin ETFs coming in.
Great, really great. Thank you for your answer. And do you have also your own token, right?
Yes. So we will have our own like native token that you use to pay for like gas and storage fees.
Great. Have you launched or?
No. So we'll launch that with the mainnet. We haven't like launched our testnet yet. Again, like 2 to 3 months for that.
All right. When do you
Yeah,
planning to
it's
launch your token and which platforms? If it's not private information.
so 2024 is like at some point in the year. Like I'll be honest with you, market conditions will probably play a factor into like when it makes sense to launch because like we don't want to launch into a horrible bear market,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Because of market
I mean,
conditions, a lot of project owners,
it's
they're
pretty
really
bad right
sad.
now. So, but like again, we're not looking really to do too much like financial engineering. We hope that because of our scale that again like we'll have real like supply and demand dictate the price of QED rather than market speculation. But unfortunately, yeah, sometime like earliest would be something like 6 to 8 months. So we've got a ways.
Great, great, and also, yeah, cool. You already visited Turkey, especially Istanbul. You have been in Istanbul before, especially for Dev Connect 2023, and I'm pretty sure you saw the really great interaction, especially from the Turkish community because they are really active. A lot of people has crypto assets. How did you find the Turkish community? It makes you excited, or yeah, because a lot of people when they are visit the Turkish community and meet with the Turkish community, they are really impressive. How do you describe this situation?
I was completely blown away. Like I did not know. I did not know. I had absolutely no idea. Like both the size of the developer community, the size of like the like more like crypto like investor side, just the amount of as I was walking through Istanbul, I saw a lot of Bitcoin accepted here as well. At the like ZK day, I was so taken aback by the number of like local Turkish devs that were at the ZK
Wow.
conference. Like that. So yeah, we're planning on like actually we're right now in talks with one large Turkish university about like doing a partnership. I can't disclose the deets, but yeah, you could say that I was completely blown away. Also at the airport, the BTC Turk, right?
Yeah, BTC took the local exchange in
It's
Turkey.
everywhere. It
Everywhere,
was crazy.
yeah.
It was crazy.
Really, actually, we love the crypto. We love the crypto. You know that local currency every single day down, and a lot of people they are really wants to make money with crypto. That is why they are trying to find the door. They're trying to find the new opportunities for make money, and the crypto is a really really great way to make money. Yeah, if you have really good way, especially if you know how to make money with crypto. So long story
Not
short,
financial advice.
yeah. It's not the advice. Yeah, investment advice. Yeah, actually, yeah, I totally get all of answer my question. So, what would you like to say, especially to Turkish community, university blockchain communities from here? And do you also have any specific plan for discovering the talent in university blockchain communities? If you have, yes, just say something.
For sure. So I guess first of all, like I was so impressed with the Turkish developer community. If you want to work at QED, we have lots of remote positions open for Rust, JavaScript, a bunch of different languages that we're working on. Jobs at QEDprotocol.com. Please send us your resume. Like we would love to get in touch. Also, I guess more on like the project side, if since we haven't launched our testnet, it's a little bit awkward, but within the next couple months, like if you're a strong JavaScript or Python dev, even if you've never built any blockchain projects before, like we've made it like I guess our priority to ensure that normal like JavaScript web developers can onboard without like having to think about any blockchain or any ZK or anything. So give QED a shot. We'll also have community grants, lots of like great partnerships coming up as well. We'll be able to plug in with, you know, different games built by very large game studios, some like reasonably sized exchanges where, you know, they will also allow like third-party financial products to get on their exchange. So there's just a whole lot of possibility on QED, and yeah, we're trying to be a home for like Web2 developers in crypto, and yeah, if you're interested, like follow us at QED Protocol, send us a DM. Like we're always super happy to talk. So
Really cool. Amazing. And I'm gonna also ask requirements, especially for the free place. Who is wants to join your team? So, yeah, pretty good. I really appreciate that your time and your valuable information for sharing us. If you would like to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. I will also drop the all of details and links in the description section about QAD protocol. Stay tuned, follow us. See ya.